everybody. My name is Miley Otterson, and I'm the president of Springfield Community Gardens, and I'm also a co-founder. And this is Kat Mink. She's the project manager with Springfield Community Gardens. And I'm here to tell you a story about a grassroots organization that started with about 4 people over a cup of coffee. I was a planning major at Springfield at Missouri State University, and this is my friend Michael, and we wanted to practice what we learned in school. So we came up with the idea of a community garden, and we used what we call asset-based community development to start that garden. And asset-based community development basically goes into a neighborhood and it finds what everyone's doing right, and it doesn't concentrate on what they're doing wrong. But it's about collective impact. So we did some census data studies, and we found a corridor of single mothers below the poverty line concentrated at Grant Beach. And so we looked around, we found this empty plot across from Weaver Elementary, and it's next to the Grant Beach Garden. I'm sorry, the Grant Beach Park. And there was a house that was blighted. There was a lot of drug use and prostitution in this house. So we went ahead and we scouted the neighborhood some more. And we found a librarian, and she wanted to start a community garden. So we said, that's a great place to start. Let's do that. And so we went to the city, we wrote a proposal, and the city actually approved our proposal, and they gave us $40,000 to get rid of the house and put in a community garden. And we had never written a proposal before, so we were really, really excited about that. And so this is where the first garden was and is now. It's the park board runs that property, and Grant Beach Neighborhood Association is involved as well. And the park and the garden, it was financed by the City Neighborhood Assessment Program. And so the first thing we did is we got volunteers. Remember, it's asset-based community development. So what is everybody doing right? Who can we get to help us? So we got a lot of church volunteers. And we found some old-timers who knew how to garden. And we found some little kids that just wanted to hang out with the adults in the garden. And we found veterans, and veterans are great at logistics. They know how to do stuff. They know how to take orders and help build things. Really good at that. And then we found a bunch of college students who loved what we were doing about local food and a local economy and learning how to grow. And so what I want to talk about here is that college graduate retention is very important to us. We don't want our best and brightest going to Denver, Portland, Seattle because they have a community gardening movement or a local food economy. So we're trying to get them to stay here. And we have a lot of these graduates who have actually committed to staying to Springfield to help us with this movement. This is one of those people. He is another graduate of the planning department at MSU, and he is our coordinator in the gardens, and he's also a great mentor. This little boy comes all the way from Hickory Hills down to Midtown to help in the garden just because he wants to hang out with Derek. So here's what we do. We started from that grassroots organization. Now we're getting all formalized. We promote garden education, healthy eating, and relationship building, social capital. That's what we're all about, is the social capital. And we collaborate with community partners and sustainable development initiatives. Our vision is to empower and strengthen neighborhoods. We want to improve the food and environment choices. We want to create a sense of place, and we build relationships and the social capital and retain and attract families, businesses, young professionals with this local food economy we're creating. And here are some of the programs. I'm going to have Kat talk about those.
Hi guys. I joined the organization this summer, probably around May. And immediately, like all startups or nonprofit grassroots, you can kind of jump in there and do what you want. So I just decided that I wanted to be the program manager. So I did. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about what these gardens do. So we told you the story about the one garden. But over time, obviously, we've grown into several. But what gardens do, they create a sense of place. And so what I try to do is lead activities and get people in the gardens. Raise your hand if you've heard of the concept of third place. Okay, third place is basically where people go. It's not their first place, which would be their home, and it's not their second place, which would be their place of work. It's their third place, where they feel like they can go and hang out and have fun, and that's what we try to create here with the garden. So we have seed swaps, and we have festivals, and we also have Shakespeare in the park. We're introducing art and art therapy. We're going to make one of our gardens an art space, and then we also do yoga in the gardens as well. We also like to focus on youth engagement. It's really interesting to watch a child enter into the garden space, because it's like they already kind of instinctively know, like they're meant to be there, and they almost know what to do more than an adult ever would. And you can see here, this little girl is super interested in getting her plant watered. And we use the gardens as a way to teach kids how to read. And we use the space to teach kids. We give them books and we teach them to read, and then we use the relationship we've built with the city to take them out to the horse park. So they read, then they get to go meet the horses, read to the horses, and then also ride. We also do tabling events. This is one from this summer where we taught kids how to make seed bombs with wildflowers. Wildflowers are kind of easy to grow, and so you just kind of make a mud ball and throw them, and the kids just obviously absolutely loved it. We also focus on organic education. This is a huge piece about what we're trying to do as we move forward, and like in a lot of organizations and whatnot, I think the training and education is the missing component, and we're really trying to hone in on that. And so we've recruited Ben Tiegler, who's a permaculturist, and also Tiffany Fry as well. They're both certified, and that basically means you design land in order to make it self-sustaining, okay? And Tiffany Fry is a great asset because she is a water conservationist. And so she's teaching us how to build these spaces to conserve water. And these are some people in the Midtown Garden that are super interested, and this is gonna be our main education space. It's up there on Division next to the Cox Hospital. We also are moving into not just communities, but we've moved also into Rare Breed, which is a safe house for the homeless. And so Ben Tiegler works with us, and he's also a worker here at the Rare Breed. And so he's built a garden and teaches the homeless children how to garden and make their own food. And we have a great relationship with the Habitat for Humanity. They just recently donated this hoop house, and so you'll have food all year round. I think one of the coolest things and most innovative, as entrepreneurs here, you'll like this, I think. What has happened is we partner with Ozark Food Harvest, and it's a food bank, okay? So essentially, produce from grocery stores gets sent to the food bank, and they distribute it, and they do a really good job. But sometimes not all that food gets sent out. And so what we decided to do is go pick up that food and figure out a way to distribute it, and so it doesn't rot on the docks. And so we created this produce distribution, and what we noticed was that we already had a really strong volunteer base at that Grant Beach. So it's basically our pilot program. And we take the food there, and they basically created their own grocery store, essentially, to pass out these foods. So we have volunteers every Thursday distributing this food. And so in the first year, we were able to donate about 2,000 pounds of produce. By 2014, that number increased to 46,000 pounds of produce. And by 2015, we had 3,000 volunteers, 3,000 volunteer hours logged, and 75,000 pounds of produce distributed. And like 75,000 pounds is a huge number, and it's also food that was just going to go to waste, rot on a food dock. So we're feeding people. Okay, Miley.
Okay, so who we are and what we do, we build relationships and we connect neighbors. We did all this by that. We knew somebody at Ozark Food Harvest, we asked them, Horse Park, Rare Breed, we just knew someone. We all got together, we talked about it, how can we work together? So that's our main thing. And I wanted to put this up here to show you that we're changing on a very personal level lives. I just heard that last week and I had to put it up there. Somebody told me that. Okay. So we have 3-year goals now we're formalizing. We'd like to support a network of community gardens throughout the city, replicate the Ozark Food Harvest produce distribution in 4 more neighborhoods. We're doing that this week at the Weller neighborhood, and we want to establish a city center healthy food corridor where people are biking, walking, talking about local food, building up the restaurants on Commercial Street. And so I made this very sophisticated map for you with my planning to show you how you can help and what you can do. So we want to support policy that strengthens local food with easy accessibility, and we want to secure sustainable land for permanent gardens. I presented at the City Council and asked for actual permanent land trust gardens so that your grandchildren will garden in the same garden in the neighborhood that you gardened in someday, 30 years down the road, 40 years down the road. And so this shows you what it looks like. It's our business plan. And so there is a warehouse distribution, $1 million. If you can do $1 million in a warehouse local distribution, we can make it work and make a profit. We want local food in the restaurants, the schools, the daycares, working with the rural communities to build them back up. And that's you. I drew this likeness of you. And your t-shirt says AOC, and what that stands for is Agent of Change, because it's really up to you talking together and asking for this local economy for us to develop it. So we've received grants, the CFO Metro Innovation Grant, DAR Family Foundation, MTS Foundation, CDC, Health Department. The Health Department, we asked them in immediately to help us do all our stats because we knew we couldn't write grants if we didn't have somebody tracking those stats that were actually changing lives. So we need something. We need you as the agent of change, but we need more volunteers. We need corporate sponsorships. We have not asked for one corporate sponsorship. We just haven't, we've been too busy doing this. And we need nonprofit mentorship. We are so grassroots, we don't know what we're doing. We're just making it up as we go along. And we need the people in this crowd, in this group, that know how to really run a nonprofit so that they can help us do it correctly. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, we'll open it up for Q&A. If anybody has a question, just raise your hand.
Yeah, I was just wondering, in the area that you first started with, Grant Beach, have you seen an increase in maybe not the standard of living, but at least the quality of life?
That's a great question. Thank you so much for asking that question, because that is what we're all about, building those relationships. We have grandmothers babysitting so that a girl can get a job, right? We have people like sharing lawnmowers, learning how to can. We have this one lady, she didn't know how to can. She won't stop. She's canning for the whole neighborhood. I mean, it's crazy. It is crazy. And so, yes, that is really, as a community planner, that's what I'm all about, is building those one-on-one relationships and those really strong neighborhood hubs. So, yes.
You also have, if I don't...
Yeah.
A lot of young men in that area who have maybe recently gotten out of jail. I know at least I can count 3 guys who are about 25 who have really stepped up and have started working and really feel a sense of accomplishment through that and almost have become mentors to the younger people in that neighborhood.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
Hi there, I'm LaDonna, and I wondered if you had considered offering memberships to people, not just the people that come to your garden, but more for people outside the area as a fundraiser, an annual membership to belong to the community garden?
We have not, and we would love that. That's a great idea. And if you can help us do that, that would be great. Like if you have any experience, I think that's a great idea. And one thing I do really love is that people not from Grant Beach are showing up at Grant Beach. And it's a beautiful park. It's a great neighborhood. It's got some arts, really beautiful arts and crafts homes, and it's a cool neighborhood.
Well, I would suggest if anybody's interested in being a member that they give their card to you today.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
This is just an idea, and I don't even know if it would work, but it just kind of came to me. What if you guys did, like right now, kind of your specialty pickles and jalapenos and stuff like that are all the rage and they're massive margins. What if you guys teamed up with some kind of entrepreneurial and started to sell those? Because I'm sure local stores, Price Cutters, those kind of things, they do those. I mean, you might be able to actually, that would get awareness out as well as possibly bringing in some profit.
Yes, you're right. And we just recently spoke with the YMCA, and we're getting some commercial equipment so we can maybe practice that. We don't have experience, but that value added is so important. And we're hoping the rare breed, like we could get them to do their own salsa or something. Wouldn't that be great to have a rare breed salsa on the shelves or something? So that's a great idea. Thank you. And actually can sustain itself that way.
As far as needing volunteers, how are you guys like out there on your social media presence or even on campus? Because like I'm a part of a professional business fraternity on campus, and I know fraternities and sororities, they always need volunteer opportunities, and we're always looking for something different to do. So kind of getting yourself out there on MSU campus or anything like that, or on social media.
Right, right.
Can I have your business card?
It'd be great. Yeah, and we do have Drury and MSU. They have started calling us, and we're really good at like taking 30 or 40 potential farmers and teaching them to work in a group. But that's all volunteer. And I want to say that this is a volunteer organization. I don't receive a salary. We're like 6, 7 of us on the board, and we are a working board, because we really don't have any paid positions per se. So.
First, I want to commend you guys for what you're doing. I love the concept, and I think it kind of parallels with what farmers markets and farm hubs are doing, and a lot of programs in the schools as well. My question is really more about the business side of this. So are you self-sustaining, and do you have any plans to get to that point, or are you still relying on city funds or grants?
Right. We primarily rely on grants and our own sweat equity. Okay, and we promote sweat equity, by the way. That's why I was really clear to say we have a working board. I wouldn't do it any other way. If you can't roll your sleeves up, we can't work together. However, we don't have those corporate sponsorships. That would help us to be more sustaining. The value-added product would help us to be more sustaining. I think that we're operating, we need about $96,000 a year. It takes about $10,000 a garden, and every day I have so many emails. Everybody wants a community garden, and we can't build them fast enough. So yes, we do need a really good business plan. We don't really have one. We're starting from grassroots, but I think about 96,000 to 100 would get us, putting in those gardens every year at the rate they're being asked to be put in.
May I add something to that?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a great question. This summer, we really focused on building out the capacity and infrastructure of the organization. We basically went from 3 gardens, and then I came on in May, and all of a sudden they had 18. And so we scaled super quickly, and you almost implode when that happens, when you don't have your foundation built out. So this summer, what we focused on is building out the SOP, building documentation, writing procedures for being a volunteer. Mostly Serious has built an incredible website for us so that we understand our vision and our mission, and so that every program that we build and everything that we do kind of aligns with it. As far as getting funding, we wanted to kind of wrap our heads around this growth before we started asking anybody for a lot of money. And that's actually the phase 2 for, I guess now, in September, I guess it is September, on September 26th, we're doing a Cause Momentum campaign, and Mostly Serious has helped us make a video and write that content. So if you guys would like to donate to that, that's the first step for us to really build out some finances so we can build some administrative funding or have a staff. And we're looking at 3 people. An ED, probably a development coordinator, and then also somebody to do the project coordinating. So yes, we have we need money, and that's my idea about how we want to move forward. Yeah. So please, if you have a business and you want to be a corporate sponsor, we're going to be on 106.7. Is that?
I think so.
Yeah, we're going to start being aired on 106.7, and they're going to start pushing that Cause Momentum campaign, and we would really love it if you could help out the community in financial giving, or even just come to the gardens and physically help. Thanks.
Yeah, this is awesome. Do you guys have anything for like private gardens? Like last year I had a quarter of a life crisis, and I built a garden, but what I grew just kind of went to waste because I was so late in the game. I grew stuff I didn't even like. So I wanted to donate it, but I didn't know where to go. Do you guys have programs to help us utilize that private space?
We do. We partner with Ozarks Food Harvest for their Glean team and the Grower Row. And so if you have that, a lot of times we'll even come pick it up, or you can bring it to the Grant Beach Garden and we'll get it to Ozarks Food Harvest.
Also.
Okay, I've got a question. Deb Wilson from OSTEAM, and one of the things you were talking about is the business.
Yes.
Because you didn't have a lot of business. Well, I know when I started OSTEAM about 3 years ago, I studied nonprofits for about a year before I ever even brought a group together. But one of the great opportunities that we have in this area is you have MSU, and you can see some of the great SBTDC events that they have going on that I've participated in some of them, and then Drury University has their nonprofit conference that's coming up in October. And by going to those kind of event type things, I have learned the management and kind of the business part of things that as an educator, I did not have the background for that. And then also hitting up other people about their inputs. But that is some great suggestions for you to look for the business side of it.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Excellent.
Okay. I just had a question if you've tried to reach out to FFA.
I love FFA. I
yeah, me
believe in
too.
the future of farming. I was
Right.
an FFA girl.
But
yes.
I think that would be if you reached out to the FFA advisors in the
Yes.
area, you
Yeah.
could get them on board, and then they always have kids that aren't really in FFA but kind of hang out around. So they would probably want to come too.
I love that, and thank you for mentioning that. I've been talking with the people at Central. I'd love to have an urban FFA. FFA is actually growing faster in urban areas than it is out in the rural counties. And because I did grow up in FFA and I love it, I'm all about that. And I just would love to see Blue Jackets walking around in an urban setting. I think that'd be really cool. And thank you for reminding me that, because it makes me want to do it even more.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, Miley, I'm just curious, have you looked into the year-round growing with the Wallapini type of technology where you actually build an underground and greenhouse type thing and you can grow stuff year-round?
We dream about that. We dream about that. We love it. In the winter, when we can't get outside, we're like, oh, why didn't we do that Wallapini thing? So basically, for those of you who don't know, and I don't know that much about it myself, but you basically dig like a big root cellar and you grow stuff in it because the temperature is even, right? And I think as an Ozarkian, that's what a cool way to grow food. And I would love that. And if you want to come and get involved with us, that can be your project. And I mean it. We will be on it. We will be on it. I love it. Thank you. Yeah, excellent.
And I've kind of got a follow-up to that question. What do you define as a garden? Have you looked at community orchards? Would you include things like community orchards and other things like that?
Absolutely. We went, talked to city utilities. They give away trees if they cut one down, and I think it's Matt Miller. I'm sorry, I can't remember right now, but he talked to the city utilities about what if you gave orchard trees instead to nonprofits. So we actually planted some orchard trees through the city utility program. So we want an edible food forest. I'll be really clear. We want this city full of food everywhere you walk. We want corridors with thornless raspberry and blackberry bushes. We want kids to know where their food comes from everywhere they turn. And there are cities that do that here and in Europe.
And I'm with city utilities. I'm just looking to get trees away. So if you need trees.
Excellent. Thank you very much. That's great. Yay, we have more. Do you guys need trees? Come on. Come on.
I speak for the trees.
I speak for the trees.
Well, ladies, that's definitely what we're here for, is making these connections. And we appreciate you guys coming and telling us more about the organization. So as always, in recap, as a community, what can we do for Springfield Community Gardens?
Well, you can find the community garden in your neighborhood if you want a garden, and you can volunteer there. If that's not your forte, and if you have a little jingle that you'd like to give us, we'd love to accept some donations or corporate sponsorships. And finally, if you have some experience in nonprofit or building out a business plan, the gentleman in the back, we would love some mentorship about how we can scale this and bring on staff. Because as I said previously, we aren't really paid. I do get a small stipend, so that's not true. But it's really hard to do so much with just a few people, and that's where you guys come in and do the work.
That's right, yeah. And just encourage us. We need your encouragement. Anytime there's a vote, city council, they actually listen to us. We're like nobody, and they're like, oh, you want that? Okay, we can do that. So, but they only do that because you guys all want it too, right? So just support that policy that brings a local food movement here, because we can really up our economy with a local food system and keep those really smart graduates here in town helping this city for our future. So that's pretty much what I would say about that.
Guys, thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
As that was a great presentation, we really appreciate you guys coming in here. The middle is time for announcements, but before we get to that, before I get rambling on this long list of announcements, anybody who's still hanging out in there in the hallway, plenty of seats that are still left in here. I'd give you guys this opportunity to go ahead and come in and have a seat. So we'll kick off some announcements here. Written next to most of these, other than the SBTDC events or the people that you can talk to, there's a little bit too many for us to read here today, so I'm not going to get too broken into them, but I would highly encourage you to get involved, and especially the ones that are coming up here recently. For SBTDC, if you guys would like to learn any more of those, is Rayanna in here? SBTDC? No, that's okay. The Reinvestors Group, these guys are really, really growing. They're right up here in the front row. We've seen them grow from just a number of guys in the back of Pasta Express. Now they're up in the Tower Club. You might be able to get a chance to hear from them in a couple weeks. And then LaDonna Griner with the Gratitude Project this is really cool. Mayor Stevens, the mayor of Springfield, proclaims that Tuesday, September 15th is Say Thank You Day, which I think is pretty cool for Springfield, Missouri. LaDonna, you've gotten up here and talked, and you've come quite a long ways as an individual and as an entrepreneur. So if you want to learn more about that, talk to LaDonna. You can be there Tuesday the 15th at 4 p.m., and it's at the Chamber of Commerce, which I think is right up St. Louis across from Hammonds Field, and there's complimentary refreshments, which you can thank her for. So our next presentation is by a guy who really, really pitches in here. Jonathan Putnam provides your coffee every single week, and it's no joke. These guys also provide coffee for the entire E-Factory. They get here way early every single week to go in the back there. It's fresh ground. It's fresh ground, and then it's brewed immediately after every single morning, and you can bet that any event that you attend in town that we've definitely got the best coffee. So without further ado, Brick and Mortar, take it over.
Thank you very much. All right, how about a round of applause for Sam Holder from last night at 10 o'clock making that video for me? That was great. He's done so much work for us, and I just want to thank him. But I don't know if are you here today, Sam? No? No, he had to work. Which, I love Wednesday mornings. I get to go in a little bit late. This is nice, get to have a great cup of coffee. How's the coffee this morning, by the way? Everybody like it? Good. Well, you know, for real, like, I love coming in here every Wednesday morning. It's great to be a part of building like an entrepreneurial community, and seeing examples like Springfield Community Gardens is just one way. You know, we're doing something new and different in Springfield, laying a foundation that's kind of based on community, and it's just really great to be a part of that. So thanks to everyone who put this on. So first of all, my name is Jonathan. I'm the owner of Brick and Mortar Coffee, and Brick and Mortar Coffee is a roasting company. That is like, if you think of like what Mother's is for beer, Brick and Mortar is for coffee. We make it, we distribute it. We're primarily a wholesaler, but we've got an awesome tasting room. So if you come into our tasting room, expect to have a tasting room kind of experience, like going to a winery or going to a brewery. So what I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about today is a little bit about our story, a little bit about our vision and our strategy, how we got where we are, and a little bit about where we're going. So we'll start with that. I've been in coffee for about 12 years, which is a long time, but I started working in coffee when I was studying biochemistry at Mizzou, and there wasn't a whole lot of human connections working in the biochem lab, literally in the basement, and no sunlight. So I found this little part-time job working at a coffee shop and just fell in love with the chemistry, the science, the craft, the art of coffee, and then worked my way up to being a manager and then a roaster and then did all this stuff because I like to be ambitious and do new things and try and learn everything I can. So over the course of about the next 12 years, worked at a lot of odd jobs, did some real estate, did some other fun things, but always kind of kept a hand in coffee all along the way because I love the people. I love doing that customer service. I love serving somebody something I'm really proud of. And over that period of time, a lot of entrepreneurial discontent kind of starts building. And I worked my last shift job about 3 years ago and finally just quit. And I was like, I'm going to do it because in 2013, I found out my wife was pregnant. I was turning 30 and I was like, I got to get busy with this whole dream thing. So I had like, okay, I'm 30, but by the time I'm 31, I'm going to be the owner of a coffee roasting company. So here we go. So me and some friends sat down and brainstormed. And we decided we wanted to really center it around one kind of keyword, which was simplicity. Doing one thing and doing one thing really, really well. And so brick and mortar coffee, the name even came from even that kind of evocative of ground level, foundational experience that does something tangible for what we do. Not just consulting, not just training, but we make it. We make it there. So we bring in coffee from all over the world, and that's where we came up with the name. So in August of 2013, we bought this building, and vision is the art of seeing what's not there. And that was really tough, so we had to convince that this was going to be a real thing. And so we started going to work, tearing this place apart. And we had this concept, and we were ready to go. We were going to open by January of 2014, and then we had the worst winter since 1976, and we couldn't pour concrete, and we couldn't do our roof, and it was just a mess. And so there we were in the cold, trying to like rewire the heater that had broken, and just freezing our butts off. Can I say butt? Yeah. All right, good. So we just tore into everything. We did a lot of demo, did a lot of work. I like this one. This is me smashing stuff. It was a lot of fun. We installed our roaster. We got everything ready we possibly could. We just still couldn't open because we didn't have any concrete. We had no roof. So finally, in like April of like 2014, we poured our foundation. We poured our countertops, which are all concrete. We made everything kind of built to last. We got our first shipment of coffee in. We developed our packaging. We really used this time to really refine who we are and what we wanted to be about. We did a reusable package with a bottle deposit so you could bring it back and refill it. And we're actually a zero waste facility now. Everything we do goes to compost. So if you guys need compost, yes, lots. We have like 1,000 pounds of compost. It's ridiculous. Anyway, finished everything out, developed some cool products like our cold brew. If you guys were like hot this summer and needed coffee, this nitro-infused cold brew, we actually developed that summer while we were waiting, or that winter while we were waiting. And then this is kind of the before and after shot of our space. I'm talking really fast, I apologize. So if you've ever been in our tasting room, you know we have kind of what we do just all over the place. But starting with, and also, we poured our very first cup of coffee on August 18th, 2014, one day before my 31st birthday. So I win. Okay, so if you've been in our tasting room, you know like we put our vision statement on the wall, and it says, if you haven't been there, we believe coffee has enduring qualities of displaying craftsmanship, of building community, and elevating culture. And everything we do centers around that single vision. From our tasting room to our roasting process, all of our customer service, we do it that way. Because we love people as our main focus, and we believe, we've seen that coffee, when it's done well, people show up for it. People sit at the big community table. People talk and invest and come up with great ideas for new businesses and new endeavors. And so we've seen that there's been this almost like a 1 million cups effect about building something awesome and people show up for it. We've also really emphasized doing that one thing, doing it well, that simplicity, but also having the best coffee, light roasts, and a focus on training our clients in the best practices of the coffee industry. So the why we do it, the how we do it, that's simple. What we do is we brew in our tasting room, just like going to Mother's for a beer. We train others to do it, and then we send them out with fresh roasted coffee so they can carry on the craft in their own home or their own cafe. Does that make sense? Maybe? Okay. That's my last slide, I think. Oh, there we go. So what's the first year look like? Our very first year, we started with 6 clients. They hadn't even tasted the coffee yet. We had a client out in Stratford, a couple clients in Ozark and Nixa that were like, we believe in this. I don't care what your coffee tastes like. Just give it to me. We want brick and mortar. So I was like, cool, thank you. I appreciate that. So we've grown from 6 clients to about 42 clients around the greater Springfield area, which is fantastic. We've roasted over 10,000 pounds of coffee this year. And in the next 6 months, we're going to double that with the clients we have coming online, which is fantastic. So we're doing a lot of growth. We've really succeeded in telling the story about brick and mortar. Before we ever even opened our doors, we had 1,000 followers on Facebook and Instagram, which was my goal. But and having nothing to show for other than pretty pictures, we got 1,000 people to say, I'm in, whatever it means, and real engaged people. So we've grown beyond 3,000 followers, passing every other coffee shop in Springfield by the end of our first year, which is I'm so excited about. Our marketing strategy has been really good, very organic, very much like if you build it, they will come. People coming into our tasting room and like saying, I want this. I want this in my shop. I want to do this. Can you help me do it? And so that's the way we've generated almost 90% of our clients, is just people walking in the door and then moving them from that, just the person walking, that customer, into a client relationship. So as always, I know you guys ask, what can 1 million cups do for us? Well, with our growing, we need warehouse space desperately. We are currently partnering with Springfield Paper Company to put a couple pallets inside there, which is working out great. But we're going to be getting 20 pallets and container loads of coffee here soon. So if you know somebody who has warehouse space or can help us enclose our back patio, which is part of our version 2 plan. Secondly, we're looking for graphic designers, people who can help us with our social media strategy, people who just love that kind of thing and want to just bounce some ideas off of. I always love sitting down and talking shop on social media. Thirdly, with expanding into the larger areas, we want to see people getting the vision of brick and mortar and then sharing with others in like the Kansas City, Oklahoma City, St. Louis, Northern Arkansas sphere, so we can get our coffee further out there and grow nationwide. We've built a fantastic website. We've got great distribution. We're just waiting to grow the company. So the final thing that I would ask everyone to do is, of course, try the coffee, but come in our tasting room and get the full experience, get the vision, and so you can share it with everybody around you. So thank you.
Good job. Has anybody opened up a fresh package of beans and then just stuck your face in it? Because that's what I do, because honestly it's the best thing in the world, really. And I'm glad that my shop is gone so that I can not be irritated by the really great quality of their coffee.
Thank you.
Okay, questions?
Thanks, John, for what you do. I'm a big fan.
Thank you.
So with entrepreneurs like yourself that are focused on the craft, focused on the quality, the process, does your business have a vision to a point where growth beyond a certain spot isn't what you want?
Absolutely.
How do you go, like as a wholesaler and as a distributor, how much coffee do you think you can make and still maintain what we all know as brick and mortar today?
Yeah, it's a great question. We have the capacity with our current infrastructure to do, I think it's 1,000 pounds a day of coffee. So there's some physical limitation to what we can do. And also with our growth strategy, we haven't really hit it very hard pounding the pavement and making cold calls, because we want people to come to us who really get the vision. And so the limiting factor for most of our clients coming in is, do they understand what we're about building community, elevating culture? And those who do, we're happy to work with, and we'll go out of our way to work with. And so yes and no. I mean, there's physical limitations. There's also, like, we've put brakes on how fast and aggressive we've moved into other markets, even turning down clients at a certain distance because we didn't know if we could maintain the quality. And so it's meant to be a scalable thing, and so as we grow, we can add more staff, add more production. We can change our labeling, for example. Our entire first year were all handwritten, which is it's a lovely love note to every single customer who picks up a jar of your coffee. But it does cramp the hand, and so we're actually going to be moving to a new label as we've grown. So there's ways we can, of course, very simple ways we can increase production and maintain quality. So.
I may have missed it, but where in Springfield are you located?
I didn't say, did I?
I didn't catch it.
It's like right over there. It's on St. Louis, St. Louis Street in Glenstone. So 1666 East St. Louis Street. Yep. We like it.
Good morning, Jonathan.
Good morning.
I've been to your tasting room, and it looks like it's set up for extreme coffee fanatics that just love coffee. I'm wondering, do you think you'll open another location that will have pastries and the other things that we like, internet service?
That is a really great question. We are purposefully offensive, I think. I don't know. Because we're trying to embrace that tasting room vibe, and I think when people understand that it's a tasting room and not a coffee shop, that becomes more clear to why we do the things we do. And to answer your question, no. We don't have any ambitions to open another location because that's what makes brick and mortar unique, in that we are Springfield's independent coffee roasting company, primarily roasting for other people and not ourselves. So we want to stay at just the tasting room, just the destination, and then let people like Kingdom Coffee, who carries our coffee, do the cream and the sugar and the Wi-Fi and the music and all the stuff. So like we love seeing others succeed with our coffee, if that makes sense. And so we've got, like I said, we've got about 40 plus clients that are doing that. So if you want a cup of brick and mortar coffee with a crepe, go to Aviary. If you want a cup of brick and mortar coffee with an awesome filet mignon, go to Flame. You know, if you want a cup of brick and mortar coffee with great Wi-Fi and the hip atmosphere, Kingdom Coffee is your place. So there's all kinds of places you can go and get brick and mortar coffee with the environment that suits you. So.
Hey, I just wanted to quick ask, where do you get your beans at? Coffee beans?
Yeah.
And what's that process?
That's one of our main things we do, the work we do, is sourcing green coffee. So on a daily basis, we get in samples from all over the world. Coffee grows between the tropics of Capricorn and Cancer at elevations above 1,000 meters. So there's a few places in the world that do it, like basically from Mexico to like Ecuador and Kenya to like Burundi and Sumatra and those countries. So we get coffees in from those countries of origin through importers typically, but we are already working with what's called direct trade, where we get coffees directly from the farmer, one in particular in Brazil, and that's been a great pairing. And but yeah, we definitely do source through importers, direct trade, and sort of a combination of that. We're using agents in the country, so it's a big part of our work.
Jonathan, I want to ask you about your statement that you are elevating culture.
Yeah.
I know that you host a lot of stuff where you bring in people from coffee shops. You do the latte art competition, which draws people from the larger region. Tell me why Springfield's a place for that, and what culture you think you're building.
Well, Springfield has an amazing coffee culture, and Deb knows that. I think that there's been this existing kind of amazing coffee, and what we want to do is sort of be the connector for that and bring people together. And that has worked through things like our events we do, our latte art throwdowns, our brewer's cup, all very kind of technically oriented and fun, but big parties. And I mean, culture is sort of an emergent property. It's like all the things that we're doing coming together and making sort of like this personality of not just the coffee culture, but the culture of Springfield in general, that emphasizes craftsmanship, that seeks to be collaborative and not competitive, that is that's what's really growing, and we see like that happening here and all around Springfield when people get together over great stuff. Does that make sense? Yes. So, yeah.
Congratulations on opening your shop in your second trimester of life.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say that your coffee is really good. I've been there. For the lightweights like me who can't handle a lot of caffeine, what is the brew that you have that's kind of like tea? I don't.
Oh yeah, that's our cheat.
Yeah.
So we said because we want to do one thing and do it well, we weren't going to have tea. We're not a tea company. So we found the skins of the coffee cherry. You can dry them and brew them as a tea. So it's still coffee, it's good, but it's called cascara. And we ran out. Sorry. But we're getting more.
Oh, that's good to
It's
know.
really hard to get. It's kind of a pain.
And, well, thank you for carrying it. And I also want to just say I admire you for knowing who you are and sticking with who you are and not letting yourself get too diversified.
Yeah, thank you.
So I've been to your coffee shop and love it, and just today learned that you're a coffee shop sort of masquerading, or I guess maybe a roaster masquerading as a coffee shop.
Yeah.
in a way. So how do you plan to size up, especially when you're going outside of our borders here? Because it's a pretty competitive business, it would seem like, just in Springfield. But I'm sure if you're going to Kansas City or other areas, it's even worse. What are your plans?
Well, there's a couple, USP, some unique selling position things that we're doing. The website is a great tool that we offer. That's been one of our first experiences in the coffee world when we were still researching what we wanted to be as a coffee company, was finding how difficult it was to actually get a 5-pound bag of wholesale coffee from any roaster who's like worth their salt, because it's all sort of like word of mouth and call a friend, and like they'll put your order in maybe and you might get it sometime. And we're like traveling through Seattle and we want a website. We want something like we can go on, we can grab a bag, we can put it in our cart, we can pick it up and go. And so that's one of the ways, Joe, that we've really distinguished ourselves is the ordering process we have, which is all online. Tons of great information there on our website, brickandmortarcoffee.com. And I don't know, I lost my train of thought, really. I'm ADD really bad. But yes, it is a very competitive deal. And I think the main thing is continuing to stay true to our values, build a great brand, have that draw effect of people coming to us, and then providing them with an amazing service and training that goes along with just giving them coffee. Because anybody can give them coffee. We give them the extra mile. We can do bar layout and design, menu development, staff training, and handbooks that we've written that'll get them elevated to the next level of coffee.
Yeah, great presentation. Jonathan's a quality gentleman is a good way to put it. But I did have a question about your next steps in your distribution model. Since you are really focused on the feel of being local and people coming in, you can still expand that into other markets and really facilitate those distribution needs outside of your current reach. I was curious, what's your next steps for, are you going to open another facility similar to what you have here, or, build the one here to be able to handle a greater capacity?
Yeah, that's a great question. We've actually kind of have a 3-phase approach to our thinking. Phase 1 is what we're in right now, our current building with the current equipment. Phase 2 is upgrading the equipment and expanding the building. We've actually built it to be added onto and double our square footage for warehousing, additional bathroom space, and seating. So that's sort of our stopgap as we realize we're sort of getting too big for our britches. We can pull the trigger on a new roaster and build this back patio. I hate to lose that back patio. It's so nice. Sit out there and smoke my pipe, and it's just beautiful. But I will lose it for the sake of the business, and I will have a warehouse space. But then stage 3 is looking for another location here in Springfield. And probably in 5 years' time, I definitely think we'll outstrip our capacity at our current location. And we're looking just in that same area to build it, to either buy or build a new facility. So,
Jonathan, I got another definition question. So beyond elevating culture, you mentioned independent roaster.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? There's other coffee companies that have been roasting coffee in Springfield way before you started, right? So are they not independent? How does that work, and what does that competition look like?
Well, and I think it comes down to, it is kind of splitting hairs on what, well, not splitting hairs. What we really tried to do with the tasting room was not be a retail location and not be competing with people we're trying to sell coffee to. So that's a very distinct part of what we do. And being independent just means we're not going out and building more brick and mortar shops. We would love to have someone else start their own shop in Stratford or Ozark or Nixa and let them be the shop who goes into those areas. They know their market better than we do, and we want to just help them do the coffee side of it. So independent in the sense that we're not trying to be competitive with other shops out there by opening our own. For example, like Heroes Coffee is a great coffee company, one that has been in Springfield, I think, for like 10 years now. And they have kiosks and other locations that are Heroes branded, and that's their baby. That's what they primarily supply. So if you're going to buy Heroes Coffee as a coffee shop, you know that you're competing against their other locations as well, and that's something we wanted to avoid. So and by doing this, be independent. Does that make sense?
So in conclusion, Jonathan, outside of expanding the wholesale business, what else can we as a community do for you?
Well, like I said, the number one thing you guys can do is just get the experience. Come in and have a cup of coffee at our tasting room, and and just chat with me about, I mean, I would love somebody who's really experienced in the business world as a mentor. I'm a young guy. I definitely could use a little bit of just, encouragement and just like some focus from somebody who's been in the entrepreneurial world a long time. I definitely could benefit from that. But yeah, I think you guys like us on Facebook /Brick and Mortar Coffee, or Instagram's our primary way of doing it, at Brick and Mortar Coffee. Twitter, it's Brick Mortar Co, because I'm retarded and I didn't name it right, so I don't know. So anyway, that's pretty much it. And I'm always like looking for great staff, graphic designers, warehouse managers, and salespeople. So if you've got a passion for those kind of things, come and talk to me. And that's it.
Right. All right, guys, thank you so much for coming out today. Look around. This is an awesome group of people. School has started back up. We have college students here again, which is an awesome perspective to have. If you guys have an idea or a business and you're feeling courageous, you're feeling the calling to get up here and have access to this platform, we have an iPad and a laptop here for you to do it right here on the site. So the organizers are here to help you fill that out. Also, just want to thank a few entities here. Obviously, this is not possible without help from some other groups. So, Brick and Mortar Coffee, thank you guys so much every week. E-Factory for housing us. Thank you guys here at E-Factory. Kingley Productions, helping us with the video production, broadcasting the video from these presentations. And then Database, who's Springfield's only locally owned Apple specialist, and they're the ones that supply us with the laptop and the iPad here. So. I think that's it, guys. Want to thank you again for coming out here. Just a reminder, you guys, we are here to help local entrepreneurs. That's number one. Number two is to give you guys a window into what's going on in our own backyard. So hopefully we continue to succeed at that. Let us know if you have ideas, recommendations, how we can continue to improve this, and have a great week. Thanks.